A hotfix patch just went live for Overwatch at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on May 29, 2025, with mostly stadium changes, but they are nerfing FREJA, which does affect both the base game and stadium. So first, for FREJA, the take aim secondary fire's slow momentum time has been reduced from 1.5 to 1 second, so she can't stay in the air as long, and her reload time has also been increased from 1.35 to 1.5 seconds. For her quick dash, a minor nerf where its cooldown has been increased from 4 to 4.5 seconds, and for her updraft, the cooldown is increased from 10 to 12 seconds. Okay, moving on to the actual stadium changes. First of all, we have D.VA. The focused fusion power, they have decreased the fusion cannon spread from 66% to 50%. For the ignition burst power, they're increasing the lava damage from 30 to 80, so that pooping lava is actually viable. For Vesuvius Protocol, the rare ability hero item, they're increasing the lava damage from 30 to 80 as well, so maybe a lava build can come online here. The devs comment that D.VA's been having a hard time asserting space effectively, especially when trying to control key areas. Buffing lava should help her create more threatening zones and discourage enemies from waltzing into her turf uninvited. As for focused fusion, the concept was solid, but in practice it struggled to keep up when enemies were practically doing laps around her. We're adjusting just a bit so it doesn't feel like D.VA brought a sniper rifle to a knife fight, but still have the ability to hit enemies from near and far. Junker Queen's Royal Bullets power, they're increasing the range from 12 meters to 15 meters, and they're increasing the damage from 30 to 50. For Twist the Knife power, they're increasing the wounds extension time from 0.5 seconds to 1 second. For the Blade Parade power, they're increasing the damage from 35% to 100%. And for the Merciless Magnetism power, they're increasing the range from 12 meters to 15 meters. For the items, we have Thick Skull, the epic survival hero item. They're actually increasing the damage reduction from 50% to 75%. The devs comment that Junker Queen's axe has been doing most of the heavy lifting lately, leaving her shotgun and knife feeling a bit neglected. This update gives both of those tools some much needed love to round out her kit and encourage more varied playstyles. We're also adding a buff to Thick Skull to help her better withstand burst damage, giving her more staying power in fast-paced fights. For ORISA, the Scorched Earth power, they're increasing the damage from 10% to 20%. For her rare hero weapon item called Electrolytes, they're increasing the recovery rate from 25% to 50%. The devs comment that ORISA's Overheat build was underperforming, especially when it came to holding the line against aggressive pushes. It lacked the punch needed to deter advancing enemies or force them to reposition. This buff aims to bolster her ability to reapply pressure and make her presence more threatening when anchoring space. For REINHARDT, for the barrier reconstruction power, they're increasing the barrier health restoration from damage from 10% to 15%. For the Feeling the Burn power, it no longer applies to smashing and dampener grip. And for the Dampener Grip epic weapon hero item, they're increasing the ability power from 10% to 15%. The devs comment that the interaction between Feeling the Burn and the effects that triggered off rocket hammer damage proved to be too strong, so we're removing it while giving some small improvements to some underutilized powers and items. Alright, for the damage heroes, we have ASHE, the Out with the Bang power. They've decreased the explosive damage reduction from 66% to 30%. For the Molten Munitions power, they're increasing the damage from 50 to 80. This change will not be represented correctly on the tooltip, so if I hover here, it looks the same, right? But this tooltip will be fixed next season. They just can't change it here, apparently. For the Reload Therapy power, they're increasing the heal from 3% to 10%. And for the Sidewinder epic weapon hero item, they're increasing the attack speed from 10% to 15% and increasing the damage from 15% to 25%. The devs comment that ASHE has been steadily climbing in overall competitiveness, but she's still missing that extra oomph when the moment calls for it. These buffs target some of her underperforming powers and items, giving her more flexibility across different builds and helping her stay impactful in a wider range of scenarios. Alright, for FREJA, the Lilifalde power has been re-enabled. I probably butchered that pronunciation. The bola from the Lilifalde slow is going to be decreased by 60%, and the bola no longer pulls enemies upon hit. Noted that the tooltip is inaccurate and will be changed in the future updates, so it will no longer pull despite what it says. For the So Cooked power, they're decreasing the damaging zone from 50% to 30%, and they're decreasing the damaging zone duration from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. For the Deep Pockets power, the maximum ammo restored from using an ability has been reduced from 50% to 25%. For the Forager power, the max life heal per hit has been increased from 3% to 4%. For the Volley à Deux power, the reduced damage on additional bolts will be changed from 50% to 33% reduced damage, so that's a buff. And for the items, we have the portable zipline epic weapon hero item. They're decreasing the weapon power from 15% to 5%. And there's an item here that they've completely removed called Magnetic Maelstrom. This epic ability hero item, it's gone right now. The devs comment that Freya's Bola build has enabled Freya to have access to too much crowd control too frequently. We're pulling back on the crowd control and damage here in order to have the build have a fair payoff for how accessible it is. We have planned further changes to reduce the visual noise of this power, which we unfortunately could not add to this hotfix, but will be included in a future patch. We're also tuning down other statistical outliers while making a couple of the less popular choices more viable. All right, for Mei's power, Bliznado, they're increasing the heal per second from 5% to 15%. That's it for Mei. The devs comment that we're looking to enhance Mei's survivability in moments where cryo freeze isn't available by improving the synergy with blizzard effects. This adjustment should give Mei more defensive value during her ultimate or mini blizzard, allowing her to better sustain herself in skirmishes and maintain pressure. For Soldier 76, the hunker down power, they are changing the biotic field duration from 30% reduced duration to a 50% reduced duration. For the chain gun power, they are decreasing the weapon power per shot from 0.5% to 0.4%. Now for his items, the battery pack rare ability hero item, they're increasing the biotic field duration from 30% to 40%. They're changing the rapid response radius epic ability hero item, where they're increasing the biotic field radius from 30% to 40%. And for the rare survival hero item, compression fatigues, they are removing the 5% attack speed and instead adding a 5% ability power stat. Devs comment that the biotic field builds have been unpopular and underperforming, which is a shame because it's fun. So we're adding some additional firepower there. Chain gun has been very prevalent in all types of weapon power builds for soldiers, so we're tuning it down a bit to allow for some more variety. Now onto the supports. We have the tactical rifle power. They've reduced the aim tracking angle by 50%. For the dash boots rare ability hero item, they're increasing the movement speed bonus from 5% to 10%, and they're decreasing the cooldown from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. For her cluster core epic ability hero item, the biotic grenade cooldown is going to be changed, so it's reduced from 1 second to 2 seconds for each target it hits. That's a buff. The devs comment that we're aiming to make Ana feel more agile and resilient in the mid-range engagements where she often finds herself most vulnerable. By improving her survivability, these changes should help her better reposition under pressure and stay active in fights without compromising her high impact support role. Tactical rifle is a well-loved power, but we've received consistent feedback that its targeting could feel like a hindrance or feel more like a hindrance than a help. In high pressure moments, the auto aim was too frequently locking onto allies instead of enemies, disrupting damage output. We are refining its behavior to better prioritize threats and ensure it feels like a reliable tool in combat. For Juno, we have the Hyper Healer power. They're increasing the overhealth from it from 50 to 100. For her Black Hole power, they're increased the slow duration from 1 second to 2 seconds. The devs comment that Hyper Ring has seen frequent use in Juno's kit, but it hasn't kept pace with the impact of her other power. We're giving it a boost to bring it in line with the rest of her options, making it a more competitive pick that rewards smart positioning and timing. And finally for KIRIKO, the Self-Care power, they're increasing the heal from 5% to 15%. The devs comment that self-care was falling short in terms of sustain, especially in longer engagements. This buff gives it a more meaningful impact, allowing players to recover more effectively and stay in the fight longer without relying solely on external healing.